Hi, welcome back. In this class, I'm going to focus on poses that we can do in the chair, seated in the chair, without having to get up or down. Some of you out there, you've sent me messages that are requesting kind of work like this. So I'll focus everything in on being on the chair, how you can switch around and not have to go down onto the floor and come up, okay? So yoga's for everyone, and we can adapt and modify according to our bodies. So this is especially for you if it's difficult for you. And if not, it's still a great practice to do in the chair. Okay? Let's get started. Before we get started, if you want to learn the basics of Iyengar Yoga, I've designed a new course, Foundational Iyengar Yoga. This course is for you if you're a beginner, if you've been practicing for a while and you just want to deepen your understanding, or if you're a teacher and you would like to be more inspired, go back to the basics. So it's a 6-week course, 18 different classes, and you'll be able to go through at your own pace. You can find more details in the description box below. So first, I'm going to turn the chair to the side, okay? And this is Malasana. I'm going to spread my legs wide and come down. Now, if you need to have some blocks when you come down, you can have some blocks there, or you can take your hands down. I want you to keep your hips on the chair, so your hips are grounded, lower back, your tailbone is moving down, and your lower back is lengthening up. So first, you can start here. Feet are on the floor equally in the front of the foot and the back of the foot, so you feel stabilized. Use your exhalation and draw the abdomen back, so you're deflating the abdomen. And then you can release your shoulders down and your head down. And if you can take your arms back a little bit, then you can hold on to the chair legs. And with that, you can release the middle back, the upper back, and just let the head release down. If that's too much for your head and you need a little head support, then you can have a block there or have a bolster and bring your head there. So that's a little bit too low. So I'm going to, if you needed the head support, you can change your blocks up so that you have some support for your head. All right. So going into this, you can take your hands wherever you feel you're going to have the best kind of purchase to release your head, release your shoulders, release your neck. And with that exhalation, release the abdomen towards your lower back. So just focusing on the abdomen for a moment. See if it's hard, if it's pressing towards your thighs. And with your exhalation, just let your exhalation release so that you're starting to activate those core muscles towards your lower back. You're not tightening them, but you're using the exhalation, which we use all the time. So we inhale, we exhale, but we don't pay much attention. So here you're using that exhalation to go a little bit deeper. Keep your hips down, lower back lengthening. And at any point you can bring your hands here, come back up. You can stretch your arms forward. Like in downward dog, lengthening the arms. And you have blocks. So of course you can use blocks as well. Pressing your hands into the blocks, start to lengthen the arms. You can come a little bit closer to the edge of the chair now. And with the blocks on the floor, I can start to slide the side trunk forward. So from the hands through the outer arms to the shoulders, back into the hips. Keep the hips well grounded, descending. Head between the arms, and just breathe there. Come back to the abdomen, release the lower back. And then bring your hands back onto the floor, and you'll come back up into that seated position. All right, we're going to turn toward the side now, and you'll have your feet on the floor. Depending on your chair, what height your chair is, or how long your legs are, if you need some extra support, you can always have your blocks under your feet. So that would be only necessary if you don't feel like you're quite touching the floor. You want to be on your sitting bones and positioning your feet, your thighs parallel. So you're sitting upright, you're at a 90 degree, and then keep the thighs pressing together. Take your hands back to the chair rail, and you're going to use the chair rail for direction. Okay, so again, you're engaging through the abdomen. Inhale, lifting up, and with your breath, exhale, you're turning. So even though this hip is well grounded, you're going to turn the back waist corner, turn the back rib cage, and turn the back chest. So first, lengthening up. With the hands on the chair, move your shoulders down, but at the same time, lift from the lower back. Take a few quiet breaths, and then inhale again. And now turn. Exhale. See how your hands can help you with that direction. So this front shoulder, I can pull a little bit with this hand to start to wrap those back ribs around toward the chair. And with the other hand, I can use that as a pushing hand. So pushing that shoulder away, moving that chest away. So I'm getting a turning right into that middle back area, but also into the waist. So taking lengthened inhalation between each exhale turn. So important that we keep both sides of the spinal column lifted and keep those vertebrae symmetrical. So oftentimes people have some lower back problems or neck problems, and it's due to the cervical or the lumbar or the thoracic being a little bit out of alignment. And so we want to just maintain that alignment to get the space between the vertebrae and not create any kind of tension. And then release. So I'm going to just turn my chair to the other side. You can stay seated where you are, just turning so you can see. So you've swiveled to the other side now. Front hand, you can see, is going to help you to pull that whole side of the trunk forward, and the back hand is helping to widen through the collarbones, moving that shoulder back, moving the shoulder blades in. So first come back to your feet, press into the feet, thighs parallel to one another, and thighs moving in towards one another. So oftentimes when we're doing a twist, we'll start to twist, and this hip will come forward. So just concentrate on this hip moving forward more to keep this hip in alignment. So inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, turn. Take a deep breath in, and from the tailbone, lift right up through the crown of the head. And then exhale, turn. Turning from the back waist corner, back ribs, back chest. So when we're doing twisting, we're always lengthening, creating that space. And after we have the space, then we're turning. But we start from the base. The base is always from the bottom, either the feet or the hips. So with the base of the spinal column, that will be that lower buttocks, the back waist corners, and then with your next breath, inhale, lift up, lower rib cage. Take a few breaths there. And then exhale, turn a little bit more, near where the shoulder blade is, the back of the front chest. And just be with that twisting action. Be with the quieting action. It's energizing, but it's also very quieting. And then release. Okay, now you're going to come into a standing pose in the chair. All right, so first you bring one leg through. Turn that back leg and extend it back. And then you'll bring this leg out to the side. So this is externally rotating. I'm right on the sitting bone, right on the thigh. Again, if the chair is too high, you can take some support under this foot, okay? So if that, whatever gives you a little bit more stabilization, so put the foot directly on the block, if you have that, or a little bit of height, it could be a book. You want the knee over the ankle, but you also want this femur bone parallel to the floor. And then extend your back leg. Okay, so now here, the back hip is turning. So this, you're lifting the inner pelvis, this back pelvis. You're lifting the inner back thigh, but you're pressing the foot down. So this thigh is lifting from here, the pelvis is opening and widening, and this leg is moving this way. So the direction is from the inner groin to the inner knee, from the outer knee back. Okay? So now I want you to come more. You can see I'm more onto the front sitting bone. So I'm going to come back so that I'm bringing that stabilization and that verticality to the trunk. Okay? And then bring your arms out. So sit down heavy into that sitting bone, to that left sitting bone. Let it descend. Stretch through the arms. Keep the shoulders moving down, and then look over your front hand. You can just glance at your knee, see what's happening with your knee. Move the knee back as much as you can so that it's not moving toward the big toe. If your foot is sliding, you can have the mat on the block. To give you a little bit more balance, security, you can take your hand back onto your knee, turn your chest, and then again, look over your front hand. So you just make whatever adjustment you need to make sure that your base is stable. Okay, now I'm going to come back into the chair with this leg, and then I'm going to bring this leg out of the chair. I'm going to move that block over, take the mat back. Okay, so now I've got the knee over the ankle. This thigh is lengthening forward toward that foot, and then I'm going to extend the back foot back. So adjust yourself where you feel that you can rotate that buttock. That thigh is moving in that direction, and then straighten the back leg. And then bring your arms up. You can first start with your hand on your inner leg. Make sure that that length is coming and the hand is pressing. And then bring your arms up and looking over the front hand. You can turn the palms facing down, drop your shoulders. Straighten the back leg. And then again, bring that weight more towards your back leg so you can bring the trunk right between the two legs. Stay with your breath. And then release. Okay, if you ever need to come out of the pose earlier, just come out earlier and sit. Recover your breath. All right, so we'll get ready for the next pose now. I'm going to turn the chair for Parsvakonasana, just to have a little bit more access. So I'm turning that chair, bring the block over to that side. And then I'm going to sit back in the chair so I can have my back against that chair rail. So I'll come back into that Parsvakonasana, and then I'll come over, lengthening. So I'm grounding the back leg, keeping the back thigh lifted, extending through the side trunk. And then you can take your hand either on the block, press down, and turn the chest. So remembering the twist that we did, turning from the back waist corners, turning from the back chest. You can also take your hand on that bar. So I'm a little far away from the bar. I'm going to come closer into the chair. And then I can feel that bar on my back, and I can turn. So you can adjust the block either higher or lower. Press the hand down and turn the chest. And then bring the arm up. Remember when we brought this knee back, so keep that knee moving back toward the arm, and then bring the arm over the head. Breathe. Swing the arm up and come up. Come back into the chair. Before we go to the other side, just lengthen your legs out. Come back to right onto the sitting bones. Extend the arms out and then reach the arms up. Parvatasana. So pressing the heels down, descending the thighs down, lower hips descending, reach the arms up. And bring the hands down. Okay, so we're turning to the other side now. So that thigh is resting. The other leg is stretching back. So don't forget your block. So have your block for the other side, whichever height you need. So this thigh moves back. It also lifts up. So you're pressing on the outer edge of the back foot. So here, whereas in Virabhadrasana 2, we came more to this vertical alignment, we're coming and we're lengthening. I'm going to come back to the chair rail. So we're lengthening. So you're extending through that side trunk. Bring your hand down onto the block. Press your hand down. Keep the back hand on your hip. And then exhale, turn. So just breathe. Be with whatever you feel. Keep the back inner thigh lifted so you can feel the outer edge of the foot. If the thigh is dropping, you can feel the big toe and inner heel side of the foot. So roll to that outer side. Keep that inner thigh lifted. Reach the arm up. So pressing with the bottom hand. Open through the chest. And then bring the arm over, connecting with that back leg. Extend. Take a few breaths there. Just be aware of what you feel in your body. And then inhale, come up. Oftentimes when we're not in the right position, we can feel, oh, that doesn't feel right. So just at any time, adjust so that you feel more in alignment. We're using the props so you can have more space, elongation, and freedom in your body. So the prop is not just to use a prop. The prop is to help you get that freedom, even though we're not down on in a standing position or any other position, we're on the chair. So all of it is available with the chair. Okay, extend your legs out. And then we're going to change the cross on the fingers. So if before you had your right index finger on top, you'll change your left. Now, just a note, you're not in front of me, or you are in front of me, but I'm not there with you, so I can't see. But if it's difficult to raise your arms and straighten your arms, just take a strap so that you can have your shoulders a little bit wider. Okay, you can hold it like this so that palms face one another and that you reach your arms up. Okay, so that's one option for those of you that are having any kind of tightness in your shoulders or maybe an injury in the shoulders. It's difficult to straighten your arms. So when you bring your hands up with that interlacing, if your elbows are bent, then you're not able to really get the extent of the arms. The arms are helping you to lift up through the sides, front of the trunk. So if you can't get that, then take the strap, and then with the hands interlaced, press up, or holding the strap. So feel the hips moving down, thighs moving down, be on your heels, draw your toes back, draw your kneecaps up, and just be with your breath. Your next exhalation, bring your arms down. Okay. So now we're going to go into Virabhadrasana 1. You can still keep that strap. I'm going to turn the chair back to this first position. And now I'm going to face toward the chair rail. All right, this back heel, I'm going to keep the heel lifted, and with that, so before we were like this position. So now I want to turn this hip bone and the front of the thigh to face the front of the chair. So I'm pivoting on the front of the foot, turning, so I'm right at the front groin, and this foot is under the knee, okay? Now here, I want to lengthen that back leg and draw the tailbone down. So I'm going to use the hands on the chair rail to help me lift the chest and at the same time move the tailbone forward and down. So using that press, then straighten the back leg. So you can start with the bent knee. Start with the bent knee, heel lifted. Get that thigh engaged in the right direction. Get your arms there, lift up. So you're wanting to lift up from the middle back and upper back, and from the lower back, you're descending. So there's no compression. So they're moving in opposite directions. So lower back, tailbone moving down and forward, and then from your back ribs right below the shoulder blades, lift up. Take a few breaths there. Again, if your foot didn't reach the floor, have the foot on a block. Press more, bring this hip more toward that chair, and straighten the back leg. So from here, if you can maintain that, you can take your strap and then bring your strap up, extend the arms up. Straighten the back leg. So start with your bent knee first. Just that front leg. Extend the arms up. Take the hands as wide as you need to straighten the arms. And then straighten the back leg. Tailbone moving toward that chair seat. Chest lifting. And look up. And then come down. So any version of that with the hands up or hands on the chair bar that you can manage, you do that. So there's many ways to practice. We have these props and different techniques so that depending on your body condition, you can make those adjustments. Okay, so now remember, I'm turning that thigh toward the front of the chair. The heel is lifted. Keep the knee bent. And take your hands on the front of the chair. Now, I want to really sit down into this hip. So I don't want to stay lifted. I want to sit down into that hip so the tailbone moves down. Chair stays as a prop for me to be able to pull the arms down, lift the chest, and then straighten the back leg. So I'm making sure that I have that foot extended back, and then I press through the heel. Lift up through the chest. Turning that back thigh, hip toward the chair, so I can feel the front of the thigh touching the chair or moving in that direction. Okay. Settle there. You want to go to the next. Have the hands on the strap. Start with the knee bent. Sit down into that hip. And now you're going to use the arms to get that lift through the front of the trunk. Lift up, sink that hip down, and now straighten the back leg. Do a little bit of back bend right below your shoulder blades. Lift the chest and look up. Keep extending through that back heel. Keep releasing the hip down onto the chair and lift and breathe. And bring your hands down. Okay, so now you're going to bring your legs back in the chair and facing this direction. You're going to take your strap onto the front of the foot and just be positioned on the chair. So you're on the sitting bones. You can feel the sitting bones. And be right to the front of the sitting bone. Right? So this is nice for, this is a forward bend. So for people that have torn their ligament right there in front of their sitting bone, it's difficult to go forward. So this pins that muscle and ligament and tissue so you don't stretch it. So press the thighs down beyond those sitting bones, just in front of it, and then start to come forward. You're coming forward, you're deepening from the pelvis, you're starting to walk forward any amount. Keep the thighs moving down, lift the chest, and then depending on your flexibility, you could start to walk your hands down. First, minding that you're not rounding the back. As soon as you feel you're rounding the back, come back up and walk down Just being mindful of that place we were turning in the twisting. Bring that part into the body, which then helps to lengthen the front abdomen. So if this is rounding, then this is shortening. So you want to have space from the pubic bone to the navel, navel to the chest. So move that amount, move it in any amount. There's no prize down there at your feet. It's only you creating freedom for yourself as you go. So it's all a journey, and you have to be aware of the territory as you go. It may not be the way that you think it is, so you have to back up or take another road. All right, and then just let your head release. Come back to the abdomen, release that abdomen, depressing the abdomen. Let the abdomen move toward the lower back, so you have that spreading through the lower back. So the abdomen is not just in the center, but it's wide. So spread the abdomen from the center outwards, and then release the head. If you have a bolster there, you can take your bolster, have your forearms on the bolster, have your hands on your feet or the strap, and then just bring your head down. So depending on where you are, it may be that you need to change that bolster up, have it a little higher, or even have it at the front of the abdomen. Come over. If you still need more height, put some blankets or some pillows and come down. So there's all sorts of directions that you can go with that. So you have to discover what's going to be best for your body and then practice that. Okay, I'm raising this up a little bit. You may or may not have to do that. I'm bringing one leg up. This is a twist. This is Marichiyasana 1. So here I'm pressing the heel into the chair, moving the hip down. So the hip is not lifting up. It's moving down. So again, it's grounded. And then from here, I'll just take my hands on the front of the shin and use that movement of the arms to lift up through the front body. Drop the shoulders. So I'm making the whole trunk long, using both feet on the floor to create that stability, and then raising the arm up, bring the hand to the inner leg. So if I need to move the leg, I can move the leg and bring the arm inside. And then from there, I'll take my hand back. I can take it here on the chair seat. Press the arm, press the knee into one another. So this arm is pressing to the inner leg, the outer leg is pressing to the arm. And with that, you can see, I can start to turn the middle back, turn the lower back, turn the upper chest. So it's that connection of the hand, the arm, and the leg, along with the feet, lengthening up, exhale, turn. So this is a nice twist to do, even if you're having your if you're pregnant or having your period without creating any tension in your abdomen. But it's an open twist. So if you're also just wanting to, you've been sitting in a chair a lot and you want to get a little bit of release for your lower back, it's a nice one to do. So bringing the arm in, pressing the arm against the inner leg. And I'm going to take my hand back. Press the leg, press the arm, inhale, lift, exhale, turn. So it's a really nice feeling. It's a very, you feel energized, but you also feel very tranquil in this pose. You just stay with your breath. You can take the arm back as well. And with that back hand, roll that shoulder. You see how I'm widening the collarbone, drawing that shoulder back without coming off that leg. So I use that leg and the arm pressing towards one another, and then roll the shoulder back. Lift up, exhale, turn. So staying with the breath, staying with the sensations that you feel, and observe through the abdomen. So as you exhale, release the abdomen back. So you inhale, lengthen up, and then exhale. All right, and then coming back to the center. All right, I'm keeping this cushion here. This may be not good for everyone, but you can try it. If you don't want to do this one, then you just do the one that we just did again. Okay, Marichiyasana. So I'm bringing my hips in, and I have my legs over the front of the chair. Okay, so this is in lieu of a headstand. So you're able to use the arms, pull the arms, and with that, you want to make sure you're placed on the back in the right way. So this, I'm going to come back up. This cushion has moved a little bit too far, so I'm sliding on it. So I'm going to slide my hips and not the cushion. You didn't have to use the cushion. You could use a couple of blankets. But here I want it just below my shoulder blades. Okay, it's in a better place. Right below the shoulder blades, which helps me to open the chest. My whole back and my hips down to the tailbone are on the platform or on the chair. And holding the arms, I'm helping the front body lengthen, but I'm coming into a little bit of a back bend. And the crown of my head is facing the floor. So I'm able to get that inversion in the chair as I sit. I'm going to come up and get a bolster. So if you have any kind of a neck issue and you just want to have your head supported, you can see the crown of my head is right on the bolster. You could have a bolster with a couple of blankets, blocks, build it up according to your needs. But here, my head is completely supported, my chest is opening, my lower back is lengthening. I'm in an inversion, and I'm in a little bit of a back bend as well. Really comfortable. So you can see my legs are on the chair rail, so I'm not sliding off. My hips are already all the way into the chair, and the only thing curving over the end of the chair is from the bottom edges of my shoulder blades, just below the shoulder blades. Holding with the arms, so the arms are active. Although I could take the arms over as well, but now I have more pressure in my head, which is okay for me, but for some of you that may be too much. So you can modify, adjust. You want the shoulders lifting away from the back of the head. So for most of you, probably if you're just doing this for the first time, hold onto the chair rail and roll the shoulders back. And just be there. Enjoy what that brings for you, that quietness, that openness through the heart area, the activation in the thyroid, the adrenals. And then to come up, you can move your bolster, or you could keep the bolster if you have a bolster, so I'll show both ways. You can start to slide down and come into shoulder stand. Okay, so I'm still holding the chair. I have my lower back just kind of to the edge, and I'm holding onto the chair rail. I can bring my arms underneath the chair rail and hold, get more turn of the upper arms, roll of the shoulders. If you didn't have a bolster, so everyone that's trying this right now, you can stay in this. For those of you in shoulder stand, you're going to start to slide down. So you're already in shoulder stand. You're just going to slide your hips down. Bring your hips onto that bolster. Now, it may be that your hips didn't land on the bolster. If it did, you can just adjust and bring your legs onto the chair. If it didn't, just take the bolster away, and you can have Savasana here with just the legs on the chair. I said that we'd be doing everything in the chair, but in this final pose, you're just going to be on the chair. And if you were in shoulder stand, you can be this way, okay? And take Savasana. So you just stay there. Okay, so for those of you that were in the chair like this, you're going to come up. Take your legs to each side of the chair. And then just rest your head. Move your hips back and rest your head. And then paying attention to your breath, whether you're with the arms over the chair rail and your head is supported, or you're on the floor with your legs on the chair. Just be with your breath. Relax the breath. Relax the abdomen. And then you can stay there as long as you'd like. When you're ready to come up, you can come up. Just to give you notice that it's time to come up. If you're in the chair like this, and you would rather go onto the floor, then just come down now and bring your legs onto the chair. But if you prefer not to go onto the floor, then just stay seated on the chair. So everyone's in Savasana. Just relax your breath. Just allow that circulation to happen in your body in all the places that we opened up into, touching on the core body, the nervous system, helping through the adrenals, bringing ourselves into the parasympathetic nervous system, which brings us into a quiet state. Just stay with your breath. Namaste. Okay, that was fun. I hope you learned something. I hope you found that you have lots of things you can do in the chair when you're just sitting around, and bringing some space into the body, elongation, that you're getting the energy moving, and you're doing it in an intelligent way for what you need at that time. Okay? So if you'd like to look at other classes that maybe address some of the same things, take a look. And if you can be on the floor, it's not just people that are going to be in their chair, but if you can be on the floor, then you can practice the other inversions as well. So I encourage you to add on to your practice. This is only 30 minutes or so, so you can continue on. You can do some forward bends. You can do some inversions. So learn to add these different segments to your practice. Okay? All right. Thank you for joining me, and I see you next time. Namaste.